Tommy Robinson, Steve Lennon, put out his much-awaited documentary the other day, The Rape of Britain, on the subject of the euphemistically named grooming gangs operating here in Telford in the UK. I'll start off by saying it was a very good piece of work. It was evidence of obviously many hundreds of, well, potentially thousands of man-hours spent, a lot of money, and not a few cars torched along the way. So it was a good piece of work. Particularly powerful was the evidence of the, and this is not something to be watching while you're having your dinner, it's the subject of the aborted fetus of a 14-year-old girl, which is in itself conclusive proof of rape. If it was a 44-year-old woman, then it could be rape as well, but it wouldn't be necessarily conclusive. As an underage 14, it is conclusive proof. And the DNA proof, additionally to that, of it being linked to a specific perpetrator. So conclusive proof of the crime and conclusively linked to one of the individuals in question. And then also the fact that the police did nothing, and there was compelling evidence, if not as conclusive evidence, there was compelling evidence of their complete lack of any action being on account of a bung, a bribe passed by the perpetrator to the presiding police officer in a restaurant. Apparently an envelope, we're told, full of cash. That was very compelling evidence, and I suspect it's probably what happened. It's just not as conclusive as the DNA proof and the aborted fetus. So it was a good piece of work, and I commented thuswise on his getter. Uncontestable DNA proof of rape by named Pakistani paedophile, which went uninvestigated by the Telford police with compelling evidence of bribery involved. I say all that in the first place because it's worth saying, because it's true, but also I say it because I want to make a vain effort to offset the tidal wave, the tsunami of abuse, insults and straw manning I'm going to get in the comments for what I'm going to say next. How dare you insult Tommy for all the hard work he's done? Yeah, well done, champ. Did you notice anything of what I just said above? So it's just a shame, in the light of all that hard work, that pretty much nobody is going to get to actually see it. Because he started the thing off with 2 minutes of stereotypical, standard, tub-thumping, rally-esque Tommy Robinson rhetoric, which acts exactly as a no-entry sign to those people he wants to view it. And whether you like that or not, whether or not that makes you unhappy or angry, doesn't change the fact that that is exactly what that is. A big, fat, no-entry sign to anybody to the people who need to see the documentary. The people he doesn't need to attract, his core supporters, they're going to watch anything he puts out there, right the way through to the end. He doesn't want to antagonize his own crew, but he doesn't exactly have to do too much to attract them, so they're in the bank. They're in the bag. He hasn't got to worry about that, just not antagonizing them, and that's not difficult. The people he needs to get is everybody else who is ranging from indifferent to him to just plain outright antagonistic. And those are the people who never mind 2 minutes of rally-style screeching and shouting. Never mind 2 minutes. 10 seconds, 5 seconds of that is more than enough for them to say, thanks very much, okay, the Mirror, the Sun, the Independent, everything you told us about it was exactly right, it's exactly what we expect. What those people need to see from the beginning, which is where they'll start watching the thing, is somebody, him, wearing a nice suit with a nice haircut, talking all nicely. That will then say to them, oh, this isn't what we were told to expect by the Mirror, by the Sun, by the Independent. So the rest of the stuff might also not be what we expect. That'll keep those people watching. If you start off with something like that, however much you like it yourself, however much the thought makes you angry, none of that matters, it acts as a big, fat, no entry sign to those people. If you want to do something like that, put it at the end of the video, because then you're going to get double advantage. Your fans are still going to see it because they're going to watch everything he puts out. And the people who he needs to attract aren't going to be dissuaded. They're going to carry on watching, and they're not even going to get that far because, let's face it, people other than your fan base tend to not watch the entire video, so they won't even get to see that. All they'll get to see is somebody standing, talking in a nice suit with a nice haircut, speaking nicely. That's the way to do that. And I say this, and I wouldn't normally make this video because I know it's going to result in an absolute tidal wave of abuse and straw manning comments, you know. But the reason I'm making it is because this isn't a one-off. We understand there are episodes 2, 3, 4 and 5 at least on the way towards being done, if not actually in the bank at this point. So this is something which it just needs to be corrected. If he puts it, if that stuff has to be included for whatever reason, for whoever's advising him reckons that kind of stuff has to be included to appease his crowd, then you put it at the end. Make it a postlude, don't make it a prelude. If you make it a prelude, you are going to say to everybody, all the potentially even antagonistic people who you want to see it and might be a little bit sympathetic to giving you a hearing, you're saying to all of them, this is exactly what we were told to expect, off we go. And if he carries on starting his subsequent documentaries, which I hope he makes, I hope he has the finances to bring to fruition, if he starts them off in the same way, the result is going to be the same, and it's going to do a disservice to the victims or survivors, whatever you want to call them. And they deserve their 70 minutes of time in the spotlight. And if then those people you want watching the video, the new folks, the potentially antagonistic folks, if they're then told don't come in, which that kind of rally stuff tells them, then they're being done a disservice. If you're going to put it anywhere, find a way to put it at the end of the video and start the thing off looking nice and sane and normal and everything those people have been told to not expect. So I won't finish this video on a negative note, although I don't think it's going to make much difference, to be honest. So I will just repeat, this was a whole load of good work. Clearly many thousands of man hours involved, a lot of money spent, and a good piece of work, some really detailed forensic stuff, particularly the stuff about the not very pleasant subject of the aborted fetus of the underage girl and the clear DNA proof of the crime committed and the very compelling evidence of police corruption. That was all really good stuff, and I'm sure we hope to see more of it if possible. But I highly recommend not starting out videos like that in such a way as to guarantee that people are not going to look at it. It's got a fair few views right now, about 145,000, but that's not even his audience on Getter or Telegram yet. He's not even reached his entire audience there. And without that, you can guarantee a lot more people would look at it and would feel inclined to publish it on their own medias. But with that kind of an introduction, you're guaranteeing it acts as a total no entry sign to just the people you want to be watching. So anyway, there you go.